Happy Halloween! October 31st. It's the all-new SportsCage. If you're watching the stream, I think I just won cheesiest costume in the building. Not even just the office, in the entire building downtown here, and that's what I was going for. I am dressed up. It is a cheesy costume. I'm not going to tell you what it is because if you're watching the stream, it's going to be a special prize if you can guess what I have. 3 hours. We're here. All new SportsCage. Kellin's with me for the first two. The double C's are here. We have rider update. We got awards to talk about. Dave Thomas is going to join us momentarily. We got audio from practice today. Some of you, I know, are a little miffed about how it all went down on the awards front. That's a tease. We'll talk about it coming up. Regina Pats played last night against the Prince Albert Raiders. Not a great outcome, 5-1 Raiders. And it was an exciting game for the first bit. We'll talk about that in a bit. U of R Rams up against Manitoba in the playoffs. They're in the playoffs. They're in the dance. Head coach Mark McConkey is going to stop by in hour one. We'll talk about that matchup. What went well last week, even though they had to grind to get back in that game. And then looking ahead to the Bisons. Hour two, Arash Madani. Let's talk World Series baseball with him. He wants to talk CFL as well. We're getting down to the nitty-gritty on the Keniston Super Draft. We're going to figure out how many players we still need. November 1st is the deadline. Our SportsCage entry is almost polished up. Maybe debate a couple of guys there. Freeze Tallman Indigenous Sports Spotlight. We have Harmony Chicoose from the Pasqua First Nations playing some hockey, NCAA hockey down south, named captain. She is going to join us live at about 4:25, 4:30. Hour three, Glen Suitor, and then hour three, high school football. Head coach of Campbell, Kelly Adams. Head coach of Leboldus, Ryan Giesbrecht. They clash tomorrow night, final at Mosaic Stadium in 6A City High School football. But we are going to talk 6-a-side and 9-a-side. Did I get a rundown today from our high school football insider? Again, I'm not sure if I can state his name, so we'll just call him Mr. X. Did he give me an awesome rundown? We'll go through that. So yeah, full 3 hours. It's Halloween, trick-or-treating, all that fun stuff. Kellin, I know you don't have kids, but will you partake today? Like, are you shut the light off at your house, guy, or do you keep it on and then dish out some treats?
I would love to say that I'm going to participate, but I will be returning to the Cooperator Center to fulfill the rest of my workday with my new employer and the workload that has gone with that over at Hockey Regina.
How is that going, Hockey Regina? What's the new title?
Manager of Membership and Community Engagement.
Yeah. So this is community engagement. This counts as work.
For sure. And I think I would be remiss not to say, I know it's been happening for quite a while here, but today is officially the last day of the 18-year regime of Blair Watson as an employee of Hockey Regina. So myself, I'm appreciative of all the work that he's put in over the 18 years. He love him or hate him. He absolutely has been a fixture there and has been very valuable to me in my first 2.5 weeks on the job, just letting me know the way things currently function and very open to what Amanda Hungel, our new executive director, wants to do moving forward. So a shout out to Blair on what is finally his last day after 18 years with Hockey Regina.
I don't know the man. I just know he's taken a lot of crap from people over the years around Regina. It'd be a tough gig. It's one of those. It's like Kelly McClintock at Hockey Saskatchewan. Damned if you do, damned if you don't. You're never going to please everybody. It's kind of like the media business. It's like this. I get it. There are people that hate me. That's fine. I hate myself sometimes too. And it's, like Blair did how many years? 18?
18 years with the Riders, 18 years with Hockey Regina. So that's his last 36 years have been within about 500 meters of each other between Taylor Field and the Cooperator Center.
Yeah, he's done a lot. I know when my wife sat on one of the tournament committees. She thought he did a great job. Everything was polished. This was a couple of years ago. they ran seamlessly. So I know. Maybe is he going to go full-time reffing? I know. Here's a little joke. I know there's a lot of people that hope he's not going to be reffing full-time now.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to be reffing full-time either. But yeah, I think he's earned the opportunity, and I think his wife's still working, so they're talking about doing some more traveling, but not before she stops working. But it's been a run, and I told him that I would bid him adieu today on local sports radio.
Oh yeah. That's nice of you. Blair Watson, good job. Finishing it on Halloween. Are you like I'm prepared for about 250 kids tonight, and we usually get like 30 to 40. I don't know what it's like in your neighborhood out there in SportsCage land. 936-6262. I love Halloween. It should be some sort of a holiday, and I know that'll never happen, but I absolutely love it. I remember, like the kid. I still got young kids, so they're out buzzing. Here's the thing. Sorry, hockey Regina guy. There's some kids that are playing games tonight. That was always the worst. I remember having a practice once on Halloween, and then I remember having a bantam AA practice on Halloween dance night at school, and it was like, I'm going to the dance, and everyone's like, don't go, you'll be kicked off. But I know there's kids playing games tonight, so kudos to all the parents and kids that have to go battle that. I know Rome's has a bunch of buddies that are playing hockey, and then they're going to buzz, so they'll probably be going to 9 o'clock. Heads up, NOD out there. Okay, if you're watching that stream, Dave Thomas is standing by, but if you're watching the stream and you can guess what my costume is, we'll give you this. Okay, everybody, 936-6262, Capital Ford Lincoln, text line, Saskatchewan's #1 Ford retailer. The service is amazing there. We'll give you this. Everybody that correctly messages in what I'm going at as. You can't see them all, but you can kind of get a hint. The hint is there's 12 of them. Okay. Dave, you can't say either because you got to tease people that are watching the stream. Voice of the Saskatchewan Roughriders here on 620 CKRM. Dave Thomas, he's calling the game Saturday, joining us. Dave is, if you're watching the stream, Dave is going as Luke. You look almost exact. If you squint, almost exactly like him. Curtis is going as audio guy because he didn't have your audio up. Okay, let's start this again. You look exactly like him.
Okay, thank you. I tried. It took me about 5 to 10 seconds of planning to get the job done.
Yeah.
With the Luke name tag.
Luke's a really well-dressed guy, so, it's a nice rider shirt that you got. When did you get that one? I haven't seen that one out and about.
It's an Obsidian one. I got them when they first came out, almost.
Yeah. See, that's the thing with the Obsidian. There's a lot of people, like that hoodie that I have, people are like, where did you get that? When did you? I'm like, I got it in May. So I don't know. Today, Mace Milligan Jr., Furlan named West Division Award, Mace Coach of the Year. I would have bet
in the West,
for the West. I would have bet 2 farms on that. I would bet it for the entire league. I guess rightly so, though. A lot of people are ticked off about Milligan Jr.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm hearing. Is there's a lot of people that said, well, Brady Oliveira didn't have as good a season as he normally does. And that maybe shows the standard that Brady Oliveira has set, because you don't want to take anything from an athlete and his accomplishments. And it was an open vote, and everybody had a chance to weigh in from the media, and they went with Brady Oliveira when it came to the Most Outstanding Player award. There's a lot of people that are maybe scratching their heads thinking it might have been a nice gesture to go ahead and give that opportunity to a defensive player. But the same thing happened in the East Division in that Tyrese Beverette, who had an outstanding year. I don't know that it was a Roland Milligan Jr. caliber year, but Tyrese Beverette had a sensational season for the Montreal Alouettes, but he isn't the MOP in the East Division. It's Bo Levi Mitchell, whose team is done.
Yeah, like that one too. But Brady Oliveira, like I haven't exactly broken down the stats, and I probably won't, so I'm not stat guy. Good season, and I thought the other thing too, maybe the little bit is I thought the brand that Saskatchewan was building of Roland Milligan Jr. for MOP, I was like, I wonder if that carries any weight and if that'll help. Yeah, I agree with everybody out there. Logan Ferland, like, again, slam dunk, right? The guy's done everything they've asked this year, Dave.
Yeah, he's played 3 different positions along the offensive line, and Coach Mace reached out to Logan Ferland. There was a number of players when Coach was hired that he reached out to, communicated with, and the one thing that he talked to Logan Ferland about is, hey, we're bringing in Jamarcus Hardrick. I want you to be like him. I want you to be boisterous. I want you to be a leader. I want you to bring it. And although things didn't work out with Jamarcus, of course, getting injured very early in the season, Logan Ferland didn't have a letdown. He continued along that path, and he's, like you said, done everything that's asked of him, and I would suggest is one of the most consistent offensive linemen in the entire league right now.
Yeah. No, and home guy, right? Like for us here.
Oh, yeah.
Like, the Regina roots and everything that goes along with that's great. I know you had a chance to catch up. Where do we want to start? We'll start with Mace Coulson. Dave, you had a chance to catch up. Like I said, I don't think there was any doubt in the West. I think in the league that we have the best coach in the CFL this year. And everybody keep in mind, it's his first go-around here in Regina. What he did, the hype. Yeah, we had that lull in the middle of the season, but it's football. Here's Dave and Coach Mace earlier today.
Coach Mace, West Division Coach of the Year. What does that mean to you?
I think, it's pretty cool, but it's I look at it it's a team award. There's so much that goes into that. So just really proud and happy, everybody.
When speaking with your athletes about you, they use a number of different adjectives, from trustworthy to accountable to making me better. There are so many positive words that are used. If you had to pick an adjective for yourself that you'd like to be viewed upon as, which one would it be?
Karen. I think just hopefully everybody just knows that, it's authentic, that how we treat people around here. So I feel like the players understand that. I feel like the coaching staff and everybody in the organization understands that. So that's the most important thing. Relationships are really big to me. So how you treat people is at the top of the list.
One of the other things that a lot of people talk about is your ability to instill belief in athletes and the team. Would you agree that that's a big thing?
Oh, I think the most important thing is to never lose the belief. It's easy in pro sports, specifically when you find yourselves in those situations, because the reality is that you can be in this situation after something like that. And if you lost that faith in yourself or your teammates, you don't find yourself in this position. So credit to the guys and continue to believe in what it is that we're trying to accomplish here and what it is that they're trying to accomplish in their role to help, push this team forward. So it's paramount in success.
Now, we've talked about this, Roland Milligan Jr. for most outstanding player. He doesn't get the nomination. So what does a defensive player have to do to get that nod?
Yeah, like I say, I don't know, There's a ton of great players in this league, and the voting was done how it is, but it doesn't take anything away from what Rowe has been able to do, and truthfully even Beverett, I thought he had a great year as well. So, but yeah, I don't know, the defense got to get some love at some point in time, but no, the guys that they chose, they're well deserving as well. So
now you talk to your athletes consistently about reaching a standard and then pushing yourself to be better than that. Have you pushed yourself to be better throughout the course of the season?
Yeah, no, for sure, man. Constantly, I think number one thing, just, flow of the game situationally, trying to be a few steps ahead with decision making. And, those are all things that even today, I still There's always going to be that, So, that's probably the number one thing. Just trying to put our team in the best situations constantly off of decision making, right? So, but yeah, I could probably give you a laundry list of things,
So as we get closer to Saturday and the West Division semifinal, you look at your team right now and all that you've been through all season long, from the adversity through injury to that nasty stretch in the summer. Would you agree that you're a battle-tested group heading into the playoffs?
I believe so. Just, and every year is going to be different for every team. And adversity, has many different faces. And, for us, I think that was the big one for us, just a stretch there in the middle of the season. But it brings you closer together, no doubt. We talked about that today, just, if anybody had time to watch the World Series and, listening to the guys as they speak about the bond that they shared as a team, some adversity they might have to face either on an individual level or a team level. Those things bring groups closer together, and I think it's extremely important to have that bond within a team in the locker room for those guys. Crucial, I think, as you push into a postseason.
Obviously, there's a lot of things you're looking forward to from this point on, but so far, what's the most rewarding part of being a head coach?
Seeing the guys celebrate together. There's nothing that makes me smile more as it comes to this job, whether it's staff, players, anybody in the organization, fans. Everybody understands the work that everybody puts in, and seeing everybody else's success, it brings an incredible smile to my face. I love that. That's the most rewarding thing ever.
Just love his voice. I just want him to read. I'm gonna send him some books in the off season to read, so I can just soothes. He's got it great. He's gonna voice commercials for us. What a coach, though. And having Miles Brown on the show yesterday, and just talking about him, and we called him a dog. Ratty's he's a dog. He's one of the guys, and he is. It's feel like he could still be in there playing with him. You got to know him now for the whole year, Dave. What are your comments on him?
Well, what's uncanny, in my opinion, is that he's earned respect, right? Like he didn't come in and pound his fist or his chest or anything. He's earned the respect of his players, but you're right. He fits right in alongside them. And it's such a fine line to know when you have to pat an athlete on the back and when you have to kick him in the rear. And to me, he does a sensational job at that. And then there's the game planning, the scheming, and seemingly knowing and having that uncanny ability to understand what it is his athletes need, whether it's a little more time on the field, whether it's a little more time in the film study. Again, that it's just seems so natural. And I know it isn't, or I shouldn't say that it isn't. He works extremely hard at his craft, and he's a very good coach in that aspect, if that makes sense.
Dave, I think building off that, if we recall back during the Brier, we had Brett Lother on, and at that time they were talking about being in the room and the fact that Mace was around and they were playing ping pong and they were doing everything like that. And it's awesome when you look back on the first season and just see that he was exactly who he said he was going to be. The Riders surely had down times in the season and times when they sort of were looking for answers, and Mace just stuck by who he was as a coach and followed through on what that was. And it's great to see him get the feather in the cap of being coach of the year after all of that.
Yeah, and I would completely agree with that, and maybe expand on the fact of the patience, right? This team went through a 7-game streak where they didn't find the win column, but there was no throwing anybody under the bus. There was never anything that we saw publicly that would suggest, oh my gosh, we're in trouble. It was stay true. Mm-hmm. Here is the path that is going to get us to where we want to go, and that patience paid off.
Yeah, good point, Kellin, and then you echo it, right? Just being true to who he was. And any scene, pet peeve, I think, for a lot of people, for me, phony people, and you can kind of sniff them out from 1,000 meters away or whatever. And then in sports, you see it a lot, right? And especially whether it's players, managers, coaches, whatever. He has stayed true, and he had to put up with that stretch where in Saskatchewan it's never easy. It was his first year, and O'Day was getting it, and Reynolds was getting it, and everybody. It's like the lunatics out there, just pitchforks everywhere, and it's like, hey, he just stayed true to what he is. Let's look ahead to the game here, right? Getting excited, everything. So when you watch practice today, Dave, anything different with practice this week that you're spotting out compared to regular weeks, knowing that what's at stake?
Actually, I was trying to get the jump on my neighbors, so I was out trick-or-treating and didn't get a chance to see practice today. Actually, no, practice was closed. Actually, it was closed practice behind closed doors, so I wasn't there. But all week, what I can tell you up to this point, it has been determined, it has been focused, and again, to me, it seems like these guys are ready to go out and compete, and you can just feel that right now. It's a little bit of a different energy that you're getting from the team. So, yeah, closed practice today, but
we won't get a chance. Yeah, we won't get a chance to catch up with you tomorrow. What are you most intrigued in this matchup? Is it early, watching something early like Vernon Adams, watching the long game, how it plays out? What are you most intrigued about?
Well, a couple of things. First of all, defensively, I'm intrigued to find out defensively for the Riders, of course, can they make Vernon Adams Jr. uncomfortable? We know that he likes extending plays with his legs. We know he likes taking deep shots. Can the Riders make him uncomfortable and force him to check it down or pull it down altogether? Because the Riders, I know, have focused on stopping the run all season. BC's got to find a way to go ahead and balance their attack. So we'll see which side evolves from that and makes the right adjustment. Offensively for the Riders, it's going to be interesting because the Riders have been at their best when they have found balance in the running and passing football game. So if they can do that again, they're going to be all right. Trevor Harris is playing lights out, best quarterback in the league right now at this stage of the season, and I don't expect anything differently. So this is going to be a real intriguing chess match from what I can tell.
What do you think? What do you think BC's thinking about this matchup? What do you think scares them about the Riders? Just the defense, the ball hawks there. It's the obsession for possession and all that stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Who wouldn't be afraid of that turnover ratio? Plus 26 for the Saskatchewan Roughriders. The BC Lions are plus 11. So the turnovers, and that's what did BC in. The last time they were here, they couldn't protect the football. And if I'm the BC Lions, I've got to limit those mistakes. And again, even the mistakes weren't that big of mistakes, right? The first turnover, a pick six, after a guy has the ball go off of his heel through the hands of two defenders and into A.J. Allen. So if I'm BC, I need to capture momentum. I'm afraid of that. I want to silence the crowd as quickly as I possibly can and then protect the football throughout the game. And
it's football. That could happen to us this time around early on. Something freaky. Something weird. What's Halloween like for you then tonight? Like, what are you handing out? Let's start with that. First time, right? You got it. First time in the neighborhood. Now you're living in Regina. Not Saskatoon guy anymore. What are you handing out? Probably big chocolate bars, like the big ones.
Well, we want to suck up to the neighbors, right? Because it is a long winter and I've got a big sidewalk. So, come out swinging, see what happens. But yeah, no, it's interesting because our neighborhood in Saskatoon was fantastic. Again, nothing against our neighbors here, but we had 300 kids every year, right? It was huge. So we didn't know really exactly what to prepare for. We're fortunate that we got a hockey practice tonight. So we'll be able to take a few candies of our own on the way and then come back and see what's left in the neighborhood.
Yeah, you're welcome for that, Dave, for scheduling you specifically just to get you off the hook here. So yeah,
you're the man. You are the man.
That is a lot of kids. A lot of kids. Remember when we were kids though, and going back, there's some really weird candy. There was this, I forget what they were like, an orange wrapper. And I don't even know how to explain the taste of them. I don't know if you had them out in Ontario. They were good. Did you ever have apples? Did you have apple person?
100%.
Give you apples?
Yeah, and actually, my mom works in the dental field, so when you talk about numbers, we've always given out full packs of gum. is what she's always given out since I was like a little kid, and all the actual kids on our own street, she does individual brown paper bags for, with a toothbrush and toothpaste and floss and gum and everything. And we used to get like 400 or 500 when I was a kid, because people would loop back. They'd be like, "Oh, let's go back there. We're gonna get a pack of gum." So when you talk about volume, I've seen it for sure over the years.
Gum, and then she gave out the dental package
For the kids that were on our own street. We had a short little, like, a dozen houses maybe. So the specific kids that she saw every day, still to this day, they all get their full prize pack from my mom's house. And
I thought maybe she did the once over. Like, she's like, "All right, here's your gum. Let me see your jibs."
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. You need to take this home too.
I thought you were going to get that little bag that you go when you get to the dentist, right? So you get the toothbrush and the little toothpaste with the floss in there. But
that's essentially
Mrs.
what
Mays,
they're getting, yeah.
Mrs. Mays in Weyburn had the best. Mrs. Mays didn't get a lot of kids because, again, whatever, but our parents always sent us to her house. And the one year she was handing out full those little McCain cakes. You know, the deep and delicious. She was handing out
ones,
full,
or like the size of a textbook.
Yes, the big ones. That was Mrs. Mays. Fantastic. It ended
Mrs.
after 2
Mays in
seasons.
Weyburn.
Willie's sister.
Yeah.
Willie's niece. That's off the charts. I've never
That was
heard of
big
that.
time.
Like, how
That
would you
was
even
go
put that
home,
in
put
your
on a
sack?
different mask, and then go back to Mrs. Mays' house after you've done that.
Well, you'd have to carry it. Like, you don't want to throw that in your sack. It's all awkward. No, you'd have to go.
Oh, it never made it home. We were just sitting. We'd go to the
Oh.
playground and sit at the park and enjoy some cake.
Those
better?
deep and delicious cakes are great, but they make you absolutely thirsty. Like, you have to have water by. I was there was a lot of apple guy and girl when I was a kid. I remember on the west side in Saskatoon, popcorn balls. Didn't that weird candy, man? I wish I remembered what it was. It was like an orange wrapper. It was always the worst. And then everyone, like, chips were few and far between. Small bags of chips, not even like full bags. Now kids are going, they get all over the place. Full size chocolate bars, full size chips, cans of pop. Man.
You could use one of those cans of pop with your deep and delicious.
Yeah. Oh, so here's another thing, boys. Here's another thing. There are some extremely smart educators out there that they have their professional day or whatever that kind of floats, and they got to take it like in the somewhere around this. They are taking it tomorrow. So it's their professional day. Correct me sorry if it's not professional, if you know what I mean. So basically they don't have kids tomorrow. How smart is that? Because you got orangutans tomorrow. Deep and delicious, pop, candy, everything. It's like, hey, no. Chikai, parents, you keep them at home. We're taking our retreat or whatever it is. Those are smart. That's the play right there. So hockey practice tonight. Is wife at home handing out candy? Like, or you guys shut the lights off? And you can't do that because you're new neighbors.
No. Well, trust me, Barney. It will be covered completely.
Okay.
We've got a plan.
Okay. I love it.
We're not handing out deep and delicio cakes, though. No.
Mrs. Mays. Wow.
Mrs.
What a
Mays.
lady.
Yeah.
What a lady. Citizen of the Year right there in Weyburn for sure. Okay. Thanks, Dave. We won't talk to you tomorrow. Have a great call. Have a good time at practice. Love your costume.
Thank you very much. I know Luke's going to be digging it too. I'm going for a buffet right now.
Voice of the Saskatchewan Roughriders, Dave Thomas. If you're watching the stream, you want to win this fancy Rider football right here. I'm showing it to you. No one's got it right yet. What is my cheesy costume? There's 12 of them. Okay, that's the hint. That is the hint. We got more. What?
I was gonna say co-host hint. If you ever watched the movie Fever Pitch, it's part of it's a Valentine's Day gift from Jimmy Fallon to
No, don't ruin anything.
to Drew
it's
Barrymore
early in the
as well.
show. We got 3 hours.
That's giving anything away. Just
three
another,
hours.
Another suggestion.
It's Halloween. I love Halloween. We got Colson saying we got a break. We can talk Halloween here for like a long time. It's y'all new SportsCage. Watching that stream, get in on it, 936-6262. We're going to have rider tickets to give away here in a bit, too. And as always, we're on the home of the Saskatchewan Roughriders and Dave Thomas, 620 CKRM. Nobody yet guessing my costume. Only one coworker guessed it. All new SportsCage on Halloween. I'm not even wired on sugar yet. I should be. You go down to the coffee room. There's cupcakes. There's obviously small chocolate bars, small bags of chips. There's Twizzlers. Not a big Twizzler guy, to be honest. And then there's off the charts. There's Cheeros.
Nice.
Yeah.
In about an hour, there'll be deep and delicious cakes when Mrs. Mays gets here from Weyburn. I'm sure she's en route.
The funny there's so many things about Halloween. We could have just done 3 hours on Halloween stories. I remember my dad, rest in peace, what a beautician. We always had the worst suppers on Halloween. It's like, I just want to go trick-or-treating. It's like, no, you got to sit down and eat these beets and rhubarb and blade steak or whatever it was. Like, so kind of like, come on. Meanwhile, Buddy's parents, they had Kentucky Fried Chicken. They had pizza. They made a real event about it. So tonight, I am going to be that dad. I'm going to bring some Western pizza home for supper on Halloween. Just make it a full thing. If we're going to eat like junk today and hammer back the sugar, let's do it. And then I love going through the kids' bags, lay it out, and then Mrs. S and I will pluck a few things that we... So some of the kids, my kids don't like a lot of the things that I like. The big Aero bars, they're not big Aero bar fans. Wife and I, first lines, first liner.
It's important to teach your kids young the ones that they don't like for the future, so that you have lifetimes of that product. So my question, you said bags, so I just need clarity here because I haven't actually been a part of even though I've been here 10 years, actually kids trick or treating. Like, are kids still finding the biggest sleeping bed or the biggest pillowcase available anywhere and seeing what they can get in there? Because a lot of people with those crafty little plastic buckets that hold like 3 items and then you got to go back home.
Yeah, no, that's Bush League.
My childhood was like, I'm going to be leaving, like you said, the second you let me away from the dinner table, and you will see me in 4 or 5 hours. Yeah. And we took extra pillowcases in the bottom of our pillowcase, so that you could pull another one out, like the garbage bag at work, and then you just ditch your bag somewhere, you get a bush somewhere, and you could come back and come home with 3 or 4 pillowcases worth.
You need one person to see you stash it in that bush, and that's gonzo. What you need is wagon guy. Anybody that's got a wagon that you can just, everybody put it in there like a, flatbed trailer and just haul that around all night. So the thing, I remember last year, Rome's, They go with, I think they go with sleeping bags, but they also go with the big durable shopping bags that are like vinyl on the outside. Those are a hit. Yeah, the little pumpkin things, that ain't getting any action done. You can't do that. Here's a story. Oh, I know we don't have a lot of time. Quick story. We go into our garage yesterday. Wife thought she hid the one box of chocolates really well. Small chocolate bars. We pull it out, look at it. We're like, open it up. It's a little light. Look at the bottom. Hockey tape. Clear sock tape. Hockey tape. It's like, wonder what. So then we first asked the girl. She's like, no. And I think she's a little more tactical than that. Bring the boy upstairs. Hey, he comes up, it's sitting on the counter, and he sees the other top open. So he says he was pumped because he's like, yes, they opened the right side. Then we look at the bottom, and it's just all butchered with sock tape. And then the daughter, 130 in that box, she counted them, only 78. What happened to the rest of the chocolate bars? They've been sitting in the garage for a month. So yeah, he confessed sloppy work there. Just Definitely not West Side. Sloppy work there from the boy. Housekeeping issues. Saskatchewan Roughrider Foundation. Get in on it, 5 o'clock. So what do we got? an hour and 15 minutes. For the early bird prize, the Arizona Cardinals, Seattle Seahawks in Arizona. Flights, accommodations, the W Scottsdale, transfers to the game, to the hotel, everything. Or take $9,000 cash. Riders5050.ca. So then you get the 50-50 for the game, and you're in for the early bird. Also, we're giving away the ball on the stream, if you can figure out what my costume is. Don't think anyone's got it yet. And also, Riders is the keyword, 936-6262. Capital Ford, Lincoln text line. How many do we got, Colson? We got 4? Two packs again? I think we do. 2 packs to the West semifinal with the BC Lions. We're giving them away today. I think this is your last chance to win tickets to that game. And then shout out Matt Young again. I looked up, and as far as tickets go, if you don't follow him on Twitter and X, he's a great follow because he kind of goes through the tickets and different events in our province and around. Still 50. This is about an hour ago. 5,600 tickets remaining for the game. So see if Rider Nation can buckle up here and all get in it and be loud and annoying for the BC Lions. So much more to get to. When we come back, the Rams and University of Manitoba CIS playoff football coming up. We're going to talk to the head coach of the Rams, Mark McConkey. It's the all-new Sports Cage on Halloween. And my cheesy costume, if you're watching that stream at sportscage.com.
Calling all farmers, ranchers, and producers. Did you know you hold the key to a resilient agriculture future? Donate to Agriculture in the Classroom Saskatchewan and help connect students with agriculture. Together, we can cultivate a generation that understands, appreciates, and champions the heart of farming. A sustainable future begins with investing in education today. Make a charitable donation to Ag in the Classroom at aitc.sk.ca/donate.
Winter brings tougher driving weather, and that means it's time to winter up those tires on your vehicle. Regina Motor Products has got an offer that will make your ride safer and your wallet happier. Before you hit the snowy open road, get your tires swapped for winter, with rebates as high as $120 off a full set of winter tires. You don't want to wait. Book now and be ready for all that cold stuff. Visit rmpchevrolet.com.
It's Power Bill Day.
This is Tim.
Hooray, hooray, it's Power Bill Day.
Tim loves getting his monthly power bill because Tim's power bill is teeny. Tim has a residential solar system from Kellin Solar. It powers his home, and excess power is sent back to the grid for credits on his Sask power bill.
Give me those savings. Yeah.
Get a teeny tiny power bill.
Just like me. Woo!
Get a quote on a Kellin Solar residential solar system at kellinsolar.com.
For all your grain brokerage needs, call Johnston's Grain. They're hyper-focused on finding growers the best price in the market. Johnston's will deliver the best bids in Western Canada on special crops, milling oats, malt barley, feed grains, damaged grains, and much more. When you think about marketing, think Johnston's. Their expertise helps farmers secure the highest prices while avoiding risky buyers. They'll help you structure your contracts in a way that is good for your farm. Call 844-324-7778.
The all-new Sports Cage continues. You can watch our live stream at sportscage.com and always on the radio. Saskatchewan's voice for local sports, 620 CKRM.
All right, welcome back. All-new Sports Cage. We got Friday Night Lights. We got a lot of high school football news coming up around. We got a rundown someone sent in, hi@sportscage.com. It is awesome. And again, we're going to be talking to both coaches of the teams in the City 6A Championship tomorrow, Campbell and Leboldus. That's coming up in hour 3. It's football time. We got the Riders, BC Lions, and then the Rams are in the playoffs. Let's go out on the Western Pizza guest hotline. Joining us, head coach of the U of R Rams, Mark McConkey. Hey, Mark, we're talking again. Like last week, we weren't sure if we'd be talking again, but we're talking again. You guys pulled it out. What a. Let's go back last week. Like I was listening to the call. What a weird game. Like you guys dominated that game, but you're down and you have to claw back.
Yeah, it was it was a weird game. Even at halftime, we're down 15-4, but we didn't play very disciplined football in the first half, which was the disappointing part. But other than that, like, we had 42 plays to their 15. Like, it was one of those games that didn't make sense. It was a blocked field goal touchdown. Then they threw one deep ball touchdown, but we were dominating the game. We were moving the ball. We were doing everything we wanted to. The score just definitely didn't reflect it. And then obviously our guys rallied and kept it going and tilted the field in the second half, and then it became ours. But yeah, it was a weird one to be a part of for sure.
Massive solace in the fact of that, though. You guys are playing good. They're doing the right thing. We got the playoffs here. It's not like you guys, are stinking up the joint, and you gotta really do some soul searching here. It's just one of those things, right? The guys are playing good.
Yeah, exactly. It's like I said, I've been part of this program for probably way too long, and there's been years where we've been 4-1, and then you lose 3 to end the year. You're still in playoffs, and you're going in on a 3-game losing streak. I'd honestly prefer this. You get all the losses out of the way in the middle, and you kind of stink it up in the middle, and then you kind of peak right at playoff time, and that's the message we're preaching to the guys. And like I said, the games that we're losing, they're all close. Like, we're not a true 3-5 team. We could easily be 5-3, 6-2, and we're right where we need to be. We're in the playoffs. That was always the goal, and Can West this year, it's wide open. So we're just excited for the opportunity to earn another week of practice, and I hopefully I'll be on the show next Thursday.
It's very much like the Rider season, right? Like, they have that lull in the middle. They're close games, but you got to seat at the dance or a chip in a chair or whatever you want to say. You're in the postseason. Manitoba, the last time you guys played them not that long ago, not a blowout by any means. Do you go back to that game a lot? What do you learn about Manitoba and the problems that they might pose?
Yeah, they're a well-coached team. Obviously, they're all behind their coach, Brian Dolby, who's retiring after this year. So they're all buying into that, which is awesome. And I get a lot of respect for Brian. But yeah, they're a talented team, but we can hang with them. Again, we hung with them. It was 7-6 at half for us. We should have been up. We got stopped on the goal line. So we can get up on them and keep playing. We'll be fine. We just had an awful third quarter. It was really one quarter, and we kept going 2-0, and they scored on 2 straight drives, and that was kind of the game right there. So it's going to be a 10-round boxing match, and whoever can deliver the most blows is going to come out. And we can't stall out like that. We can't give up those big drives. And again, I know our guys we're more confident than we were week 5.
We don't want to give away any secrets here, but it's football, right? A lot of times teams have a different wrinkle, something they haven't showed or you didn't show them. You've been working this week hard on maybe, something that they haven't seen. I'm sure they're doing the same.
Yeah, playoff football, it's a different beast. That's when all the trick plays start to come out and just different weird formations on special teams, offense, defense. And yeah, I think Coach Gray, obviously our D coordinator, has done a great job all year, and they're going to continue to do that. And Josh Donnelly and the offensive staff have put together a good plan. We did a nice job last week against Alberta, and it's similar, right? We got a good first quarter plan, good second half plan. We feel confident with where we're at with the offense going into this game.
It's Halloween, and you got young kids. Like, how's your system tonight? How are you going to do this? Are you off and doing football thing? Or are you going to get a chance to trick or treat with the kids?
No, unfortunately, that's what I told my kid's a big Rams fan. He's a Atlanta Falcons fan first, and then Rams fan second, is what he tells me. But I told him last week, if we make playoffs, I can't come trick or treating. He's like, that's okay. You need to get in the playoffs. I said, I agree. So I'll unfortunately miss that, and my wife, who's pretty much a single parent during the football season, is going to handle duty there, and she wants us to win. But if we lost, I'm sure she'd be okay because I'll be home more. So.
Hey, let's have you win, right? Like you said, we want to talk again next week. Best of luck. We'll be listening, rooting for you. Go and get it.
Appreciate it. Thank you. See you next week.
Yeah. Head coach of the U of R Rams, Mark McConkey. You'll be able to hear that game right here on 620 CKRM. I think it'll be a CKRM2 on the Deuce. More to come. It's the all-new Sports Cage. If you're watching that stream in my cheesy costume, sportscage.com. And as always, we're in the home of football in Saskatchewan, 620 CKRM. Yeah. Swap those tires. Snow is a-coming, but not today. Always a bonus when the kids can trick or treat with no snow on the ground. Friday Night Lights, we have in hour 3 both head coaches of the Regina teams in the city final tomorrow, LeBoldus and Campbell, joining us here on the Sports Cage. If you miss it, don't worry, you can go back and listen to it in podcast form. But I gotta say, I'm gonna give this guy the nickname Uncle Mo. He's been sending us, thanks to everybody who's sending in messages to hi@sportscage.com. But he says, provincial high school football, here's what he's thinking. Hafford's going to go into Lenberg. Hafford's a lot. They are a lot. They're a big, strong team in that 1A. He figures Hafford there. St. Brew into Hanley, and he thinks St. Brew wins. Southie Watrous. Watrous ran into injury problems, he said, but Watrous is in Waka. Watrous, or Southie and Cupar, the Highway 22 Storm is what they're called. Waka's tough. This is a pick'em for me. Got it. Maybe I'll lean a little bit Southie Cupar on that one. Clavette into Rosetown. Rosetown's got home field advantage there. Clavette is just strong. J. Tisdale and Delisle, 9 aside. Tisdale surprised Melville last week. Are they going to do it again? Delisle, tough team, and they have home field advantage. Here's the game. Could be the RMP game of the week. Lumsden and Melfort, both teams undefeated. Dandy game if you're around Melfort. That's a huge one. That'll be tight. And then, in the city, like I said, we got Leboldus and Miller. We're going to hear from both of them a little bit later. PA Carleton, Johnson, BJM, Moose Jaw Central. Moose Jaw Central buzzing after that win over Balgoni. Gotta love high school football. Friday night. You ever watch 6-a-side or 9-a-side football?
I have not. No, I just wanted a small correction there. Campbell and Leboldus.
Yeah, what did I say?
Miller. I know it's usually.
It's low blow.
Yeah, usually it's them, but I gotta give credit where credit's due.
Campbell and Leboldus.
The kids at Campbell and lots of kids there, so credit where credit's due.
And Campbell Leboldus.
Tartan season.
Was it 33-26 when they played October 11th? So that's a rematch. It's going to be tight. 6 o'clock, Mosaic Stadium tomorrow night. If you're going to that one, it's going to be great. Just football everywhere around the province. And a lot of these games are starting early now because of the Rider game, of course, on Saturday. Right here on 620 CKRM. You can hear it all with the crew. Let me know if I missed anything. High school, Friday Night Light style. I always want to give shout-outs. And then next week, it's the provincial finals everywhere. So we're going to try and figure out how to nab as many coaches as possible on that. Still to come in the program. No one has got my costume yet for the ball on the stream. You win this football. You got a 936-6262. That's also the number to text in Riders if you want to win tickets to the game. And then shout out to Crofty and then Paul on the Capital Ford Lincoln text line. It's they're called Halloween Kisses. Those were those candies that were absolutely gross, and they were made from molasses. Kurz. They're an orange wrapper. They were so gross. I don't know if they still have them. Maybe the Funky Gifter has them, or you can order them online. But yeah, they were like a molasses candy. Just say that out loud. That sounds gross. Why would you hand that out to kids? One night a year, you can be awesome.
I bet they're really cheap. I bet they're inexpensive, and that's why people were pumping them out. But yeah, they were.
The person that would hand out one piece of gum.
I had PTSD when you started talking about them. I didn't know what they were called, but I could see it. I could see it in my hand, and it wasn't even worth it. It was straight to the trash.
News time here, and then Arash Madani is on after the break. What is my costume if you're watching the stream, sportscage.com. There's 12 of them. There's a hint. It's all new Sports Cage on the home of the Saskatchewan Roughriders, 620 CKRM. Hour 2 of the show. Barney, Shynkaruk, Kellin, Enslev, Curtis and Colson. Okay, let's go around the horn here. First off, Colson, I want you to tell people that you can still buy the gross candy, but first off, tell people what you're dressed up. I was wrong. I went with like Howdy Doody or like the...
Oh, I just had to find something when leaving the house, and I saw this, and I'm like, you know what? I'm going to dress up as a Vancouverites pretending to be a Calgarian, because all of this matches way too much to be an actual Calgarian.
You're a Vancouver guy at Stampede Week.
Yeah,
in
exactly.
Calgary. And then Curtis, you don't really have a costume, but you're trying to pawn it off as one.
Yeah, I kind of forgot it was Halloween today, so I was just wearing my Diener costume, you know. So, but
Diener's son.
Diener's son, or I was supposed to go to Stitch. I had it in the closet and I didn't put it on.
And Kellin, you are disgruntled hockey dad.
I'm a bandwagon Saskatchewan Roughrider fan here, jumping on board for the playoffs with my Grey Cup hat on, courtesy of the Riders who hooked me up with this when we hosted a few years ago when I was doing some signage wraps, and
nice.
It was the wrong size, so they had me redo it, and they're like, "Hey, we can't pay you again, but here's a hat."
And then if you're watching the stream, you can win this special Wilson Rider foot. These are the good ones you can get autographs on. They're all white. But you got to 936-6262. Send in what is my costume. No one's got it right yet. And Arash, when we bring you on, you are not allowed to say if you're smart enough to figure out what this costume is.
The all-new Sports Cage and Coast to Coast with Arash Madani is brought to you by Smart Investing Solutions. Be smart with your money. Call Brian Golly at Smart Investing Solutions, 546-2533.
I said, don't let him on unless he goes and dresses up. You would have had something in a closet or something that you could have put on. What did you say, Kellin?
He's got to have a set of ski goggles from last night's celebration, at least.
World Series celebration.
I mean, I don't let the cat out of the bag. Are you dressed up as a degenerate gambler? Is that what you are right now?
No, you're the second person that said. Don't say. You text me, but I'll let you know right. No, it's second person that said that one. That is not correct. I wouldn't have to dress up
I
for
guess
that.
we need a couple of photos of you and I on the shirt if that was going to be the case.
What was trick or treating like out in the Maritimes there as a kid? Like what we were going through some of the candy, some of the garbage can. What is the one, Colson, that you can still buy at Giant Tiger allegedly? Crofty sent in and a couple people.
Molasses Kisses, Cares Molasses Kisses.
Molasses.
Oh yeah.
Do you remember those orange wrapping?
They were awful. Those were the worst. The coolest people had the cans of pop. Like if you got a can of pop from somebody, those people were living large.
Yeah,
you know?
and like legit brand pop, not like RC Cola or Pick a Pop or whatever else we had. You had PC Choice, no free plugs. Yeah, no. That was, and then just if you're 6, 7, 8 years old and you get that big bag of chips or that big candy bar, that's like going to Vegas at that age. Like that that makes you smile. And then I really love picking through my kids' candy tonight. But they're getting a little bit older, especially they're very wise. And hands down, every year between Mrs. S and I and the kids, I don't know how long, like December, second week of December, there'll still be remnants of candy in their boxes, and it's always Wonder Bar and any kind of Mars bar. No one in the house likes it. Those will ride. Those will ride the 4, 5, 6 weeks. No one will touch them. I'll end up going, where you can, if you don't, here's a tip out there. If you have extra candy or you're not going to do anything for candy, take them to a senior's home. And look at Colson's face. Take him to a senior's home, and they use them when they play bingo. They use them as prizes.
Mini Mars bars,
anything, Wonder Bars. See,
congratulate bingo!
Yeah.
You get yourself a 3-month-old mini Mars bar.
I don't even know if the elderly like Wonder Bars and Mars bars. When's the last time you were at an old age home, Kellin?
October 2015, before my grandfather died.
I'm serious. They love it for the bingo, and they use them for prizes.
You know what? I think bingo halls, they prefer money over
right,
candy. But
these aren't bingo halls. These are old age homes.
What's the difference?
Remember what Randy Moss said? Straight cash, homie.
What's the difference between that? That's what we're dealing with here on the Sports Cage. One of our producers out there in Sports Cage land. He doesn't know the difference between a bingo hall and an old age home.
Smoking or non-smoking.
Jeez, it is. It's a wild. This is a wild place here at 12th and Rose. Where do you want to start? I want to start Major League Baseball since Kellin brought it up. Dodgers last night. Pull it out. Yankees blow a 5-0 lead. Two expensive baseball teams. Really though, I watched it passively. Ohtani and Judge, they were just there in this series, right?
Well, let's start with Ohtani, because it would have been really interesting if the Yankees had won last night, if Ohtani plays Game 6 and Game 7. Because remember, it was in Game 2 that he's sliding into second base. His shoulder came out of socket, and he tried to fight the good fight for a couple of games. By the end, Barney, he was just a liability. Then last night, finally, Judge snaps out of it, hits the huge home run, and then they're up 5-0. And there's a runner on, and it's a routine fly ball to center. And Judge takes his eye off the ball for reasons we'll never know, wants to see the runner, and he drops it. And the next thing you know, 5-0 turns into 5-5 on 5 unearned runs. Unless Aaron Judge wins 2, not 1, 2 championships, that is going to haunt him in the New York sports conversation for the rest of his career, and probably post-career too.
Freddie Freeman, did he make a name for himself? And I know there's a lot of confusion that he's Canadian. He is not Canadian. He's born in California. His parents are Canadian, right? And his mom passed away, Arash. Just quickly get our people up to speed on him.
Well, first of all, Freddie Freeman, this may have just put him into the Hall of Fame, Barney.
Whoa.
Like we're talking now about a 2-time World Series champion, an NL MVP when he was with Atlanta, a World Series MVP. He's on track for 2,500 hits. He could even get to 3,000. And he becomes the second player in World Series history to have 4 home runs in a fall classic. But yeah, like you're talking about one of the best players in the game today, and he's doing all this on a bum ankle. But yeah, his parents were born in Canada. Mom's from outside Peterborough, Ontario. And when Freddie was 10, his mom, Rosemary, passed away from melanoma. And so to continue to pay tribute to her, that's why he wears the long sleeves, to raise awareness for that form of cancer. But in back-to-back World Baseball Classics now, he plays for Canada as a tribute to Mom. And it means a lot to him to do that. He does anything and everything possible to keep Rosemary's memory alive. And he had a great line last night. As Fernando Valenzuela passed just before the World Series, he said, Fernando and Mom are having a heck of a time watching this together up there. So just an amazing run for Freddie Freeman.
And Arash, obviously, in this circumstance, like Freddie Freeman's going to continue to play for Canada, but from what you know, is there like a similar circumstance to hockey where like once you've played internationally for a country, you remain part of that country, sort of like the Brett Hull playing for US whole thing, or is that something that exists only in IIHF?
Yeah, it's a good question. I'm not sure. I know in the soccer sphere, once you're cap tied is what they call it, it's really tough to kind of switch. But most guys don't even think about it. There are very few scenarios where players will go to, represent a different country. Like Rowdy Tellez, former Blue Jay, who was with Pittsburgh last year, he played for Mexico, even though he was kind of born and raised in Sacramento. He just wasn't going to make Team USA. So it's a good question, Kellin. I don't know the answer for baseball, but there aren't many scenarios in which that would actually be a thing.
Let's move over to CFL football. Like, what do you make about this weekend's matchup here, Riders and Lions?
It's funny, Barney. I was trying to think of a different angle to come at it with. So I texted a few people around the league who aren't involved, not only in this matchup, but not involved in the West playoffs at all this year. And I said, if you were Corey Mace, what would you do against BC? Because there's so many different ways the Lions can come at you with Vernon Adams, and you think about their run game with a veteran running back and the rest, and obviously McGinnis is a heck of a receiver. And I thought one of the most interesting things that one offensive-minded coach came back at me with, he said, if I'm Mace, I'm going to make them run the ball against a light box. Because if you're able to kind of contain that, then you're going to stop BC's quick game on first down and keep them in second and long. Like we get so caught up in Vernon Adams, and understandably so. And of course, because the receiving core has some firepower. But I think that if Saskatchewan is able to really stop the Lions' run game, that changes the entire dynamic of this football game on Saturday. And I thought that was a really interesting way of kind of presenting it through a coach's lens, who's faced both teams, knows the personnel on both teams in terms of what the Riders may want to do.
Yeah, I'm so curious. The Vernon Adams thing, right? Like, we talked about it a number of times. It's like Nathan Rourke, and how isn't he? We have Glen Suitor coming on in a bit here. I don't know if he's kind of backed off that in the last couple of months, where if he had a chance to play in the States, he'd be a Pro Bowler. I don't know about that, but the rust, and then now he came in here a few weeks ago, didn't look very good. Lions didn't look very good. Vernon Adams, like, he just can create so much with his feet, and then throw it downfield. And then we've talked football. It's almost like the old Russell Wilson days. Create stuff with your feet, move around, throw it up, lock it. Oh, pass interference, if nothing else. Right? That's the thing that scares me about him, Arash.
Yeah, and that's fair, Barney. And I know for those on the stream right now, you're taking a look at Vernon Adams run around and throw the football and all those things. Great. Here's the thing about BC, which has unarguably been the case, that for the majority of this season, their defense has been trash. It has leaked oil. It has not been able to stop anybody. Look, if Trevor Harris comes out and plays the type of ball that Trevor Harris has played the last few weeks, it is so advantaged Saskatchewan here. So Vernon's a piece of this equation. There's no question. The Sask defense is a piece of this equation. But if the Riders come out clicking on offense, and I love the attitude that AJ Ouellette brings, saying, okay, forget the blonde hair look. I'm going back to the look of a couple of years ago in Toronto. This is my postseason demeanor. I think you and I have talked about this earlier this season. To me, Ouellette is going to be such an important part of the Riders' pass game. We get so caught up in running backs carrying the load. Out of the backfield, Ouellette is an absolute offensive weapon that Harris is going to rely upon.
Yeah, and you just led me down that road I was headed to anyway, and I was going to mention it earlier with Dave Thomas, is how important is the experience that AJ Ouellette's had the last number of years with the Argos, and what is his health situation like? He's sort of been on and off. He played the last few weeks. He didn't play in the final week a week ago. And how important is having the depth with Frankie Hickson and just sort of having the ability to show different things on offense with what you've talked about with BC's ineptness on the defensive side of the ball.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for him from Ouellette's standpoint is, and I know it's been a couple of weeks since he played, ironically it was against BC the last game, but we're talking about a guy who had 18, 19 touches in that game. I'm looking it up here. 16 runs, 2 receptions. That's somebody who can absolutely carry the mail for you. And what it also does, Kellin, it totally wears down your defense. I'm not comparing the two at all. Okay, I'm not comparing them. But when Baltimore went on its 5-game win streak, the last game they won, Derrick Henry had 1 carry going into the fourth quarter, and he finished with something like 160 rushing yards. Because in the fourth quarter, when your defense is wiped And I don't know what the weather forecast is, but like if it gets cold and like it starts to hurt when you have to tackle people, and AJ Willette's coming downhill on you, that is a that's a freight train coming at you. So, man, I just think that he can be a real X factor in this football game.
Let's shift to the Alberta capital. What do you know about Chris Morris?
So Chris Morris, who gets the president and CEO job of the Edmonton Elks, it's one of the different career trajectories.
Yeah.
Here's a dude who played for a while as an O-lineman, won a couple of championships in their heyday. I think 2005 against Montreal, that overtime classic. Then he was a teacher, Barney. And then he became a principal. And then he went and coached the Alberta Golden Bears for like 10, 12 years. And now he's the president and CEO of the Elks. So I started kind of sniffing around today because I'm like, wait a minute, like is getting an education degree the ticket to running a pro football franchise?
Yes, my wife's in then. Perfect. Let's go.
Yeah.
Moving. Arizona.
If you and I were going to bet on this, the clubhouse favorite going in was Sean Fleming. Sean Fleming was a longtime player. He kicked for Edmonton back in the day. Has been fully involved with the board in the business community. There were a lot of people who thought that Fleming was going to get this job.
Just
and then
to clarify, to clarify for people in Regina, not the absolute legend, former Regina Pat Kindersley Clipper. That's now an eye doctor.
Optometry to CEO is not a path teacher.
The
to
CFL
CEO.
Sean Fleming.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
The
Continue.
CFL Sean Fleming.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was just told, look, Chris Morris basically came from the outside lane and overtook Fleming on a photo finish. And, you're talking about a guy who's a leader, who knows the football community, who's got the double E DNA. He's a local guy. I wonder how much of this Rick Lalisheur is going to still remain an alternate governor, how much Lalisheur still wants to pull some of the strings. But it was an interesting hire that caught a lot of people across the league. And even with Elks, Edmonton, double E connections, it even caught them off guard too.
What do you make about things down in Calgary? I'm surprised they got rid of the coaches after saying Dickinson's back. I thought they were all gonna run it back, or whatever the opposite of run is.
Yeah, I mean, backpedal into nowhere. That's what the Stamps have been doing. Look, how many times have you seen this before that coaches that assistant coaches become the scapegoat so the head coach can keep his job?
Yeah.
Now, this is where I find this whole staff cap and the whole lateral movement rules and all this BS just so wrong. So Corey Mace gets the Ryder job last year. He wanted to bring Mark Killam with him. Mace and Killam won a Grey Cup as members of the Calgary Stampeders staff. And Dave Dickinson blocked that a year ago from Killam getting not only a chance to work in a different organization, but a pay raise and a little more security with a multi-year contract. And here we are a year later, and Dave whacks Killam. It's just not right. It's a little dirty pool. Of all the people, Dave Dickinson knows better, should do better. What's interesting in all this is we just talked about Chris Morris. Mark Killam is a University of Alberta Golden Bears alum. Could Mark Killam end up as the next head coach at the U of A? We'll see.
Yeah, he's put in his time. I talked about it yesterday. The only reason I remember him is like 20 years, and he's had that same curly hair on the sideline. I'm like, that guy's been there a long time.
And by the way, just one last thing. Brent Johnson, who's the defensive coordinator in Calgary, he also got clipped yesterday.
Yeah,
I fully expect him to be on the Argonauts coaching staff next year.
Quickly, what do you think? Do you think Toronto comes out against Ottawa, and then it's Toronto-Montreal there? We got about 30 seconds.
I do. Yeah, I do. I think one of the things that what may very well drive this game is special teams. The Argos had basically run Ottawa out of the gym a couple of weeks ago, and then the Red Blacks had the kick return for a touchdown. They recovered a couple of onside kicks. Special teams will play a big part of all this. What's interesting, Barney, I talked to somebody who was in the Argos meeting room, and they told me the message the players got was just play loose. It's just another game. There's still some ghosts of what happened in the East Final against Montreal last year. They just want to make sure the guys aren't tight coming into this one.
It's Halloween. I don't know if a lot scares you. I'm still disappointed you didn't dress up in a costume, but
I'm going to go buy myself a Mars bar.
Does Joe Flacco scare you this weekend?
Yes.
Against your Vikings?
More than Anthony Richardson scares me. How about that? The line goes from Minnesota -7 to -5, a 2-point swing after that news.
So good. All right. We're saying go Riders over here. We want to see them play the Winnipeg Blue Bombers next week, and then we can have fun and chat about that. Always a pleasure, Arash. Have a good Halloween.
You too. Thanks, boys.
Coast to Coast with Arash Madani for Brian Golly and Smart Investing Solutions. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we are talking to a captain, NCAA female hockey from the Pasqua First Nation. This is super exciting here. Can't wait to talk to her. Harmony Chicoose is going to join us on the Freeze Tallman Indigenous Sports Spotlight. It's y'all new SportsCage, streaming at sportscage.com and on the radio 620 CKRM. We have a couple of people that have correctly guessed my costume. 936-6262. If you're watching the stream, you got a chance to win this Rider autograph or football. You can go get autographed. It's just available for the stream. We got Keniston Super Draft talk coming up here because the deadline is tomorrow. But it is that time of the month for the Freeze Tallman Indigenous Sports Spotlight. Freeze Tallman in Regina and Fort Capel. Get her done. The weather's still nice. If you got like last minute projects, go talk to them. If you're just going to start building stuff inside when it starts getting cold, Freeze Tallman will hook you up and all that. Harmony Chicoose joining us on the Western Pizza Guest Hotline. Hey, I saw this on Twitter. How you were named captain of your hockey team, Hockey Indigenous. Fantastic follow out on social media. Quite the accomplishment, right? But are you a 4-year player?
Yeah.
What's okay? It's the Wildcats. Take us through. Is it the Wild? It's Wildcats, right?
Yes,
and take us through the school. Where's the school? What's the school all about?
So the school's located in Providence, Rhode Island, out on the East Coast. It's the smallest state in the state, so it's pretty tiny, but it's honestly amazing and totally different compared to back home. But we have 2 campuses here. So we have a campus that's right on the water in the harbor, and then one that's right in the heart of the city. So you really get both feels of both, like, the calm and chill ocean, and then like the busy downtown scenery. So it's pretty awesome.
How did you end up there?
Actually, I was recruited during that like wonky time of COVID where we couldn't go do like campus tours or anything like that. So I was really just being sent pictures from the coach who used to be here and tried to do as much as we can virtually. But honestly, the pictures and just like the 2 campuses is what really drew me in, because I was like, obviously being from Saskatchewan, it's flat and not near any bodies of water. So I was like, it would be pretty cool to play hockey. And that's always been my dream ever since I was little. So right on the ocean was honestly perfect for me.
Johnson and Wales is the university. What conference are you guys in?
This year we'll be playing in the CNE, which is the Conference of New England. But the past 3 years we played in the NEHC. But we just made the move this year, so it'll be all new teams, which we're really looking forward to. But yeah.
What are you taking in school?
I'm majoring in exercise and sports science, so right along that athletic trail to be an athletic trainer, hopefully in the future. So, and work with athletes in that capacity. So, yeah.
So you talk about like that Rhode Island and that area, right? Like you're right next door to Boston. It is massive hockey country in there. So like there would be a lot of traveling, or are you guys playing a lot of the teams in that kind of, you said New England, and then in that Eastern Seaboard area?
Yeah, mainly with this new league, it's a lot of the New England teams. So I think the farthest we travel might be up to Maine, I think, which is about like 2 to 3 hours. In our old conference that we competed in last year, we would drive up to like upstate New York to play like Elmira, which was a nice like 6-hour bus ride. So it was kind of like,
that's Sasky kind of stuff right there, though, right? And then you played in Manitoba, so you've done the long bus trips.
It was funny talking to like teammates who were like, oh, the farthest I would travel is like maybe an hour to play a team. And I was like, oh, I played in the CSSHL before this, and we would travel like 3 days to go play in a showcase. So I was like, this is easy. Like, we're on and off the bus, like no problem. So yeah.
Yeah, you just talked about your time in the CSSHL at Pilot Mount. Talk about sort of your experience of going from the traditional minor hockey route over to the academy at Pilot Mount.
It was definitely a transition I had to like adapt to, because, you know, in the minor hockey, you kind of practice like sporadically throughout the week, usually like at night or whatever. But then going to a hockey academy, you practice every day, and then you'd play like 4 to 5 games in a weekend and then come back and do it again, all like doing that, balancing school and everything like that, and making sure your grades were up there. So I think the academy route really did help me transition into college a lot easier than if I had stayed playing like AAA or minor hockey in Saskatchewan. So I was really thankful for that opportunity, because coming here, it's the same thing. You practice every day, you play on the weekends, you get 1 day off, which was, I guess, different from playing in Manitoba, but it was the same structure, making sure your grades are good and you're still eligible to play. So it made it a lot easier.
When you like your minor hockey, where was that all played, and did you have to play co-ed up until a certain age?
So I actually started out when I was 8, so kind of later than a lot of people. I went right into girls hockey, and that was all just in Regina. And then, I had some catching up to do, so a lot of summers of like skating and everything like that. So yeah, most of that was just played in Regina, and I never had the opportunity to play with boys, but growing up with girls who did, they definitely said it was like different. And looking back on it, something I sometimes wish I experienced, but I did enjoy the route I took. So
you're probably a role model now. Who were your role models when you were younger?
When I was younger, specifically one Indigenous role model I had was Bridget Laquette. And as also a defenseman, I always wanted to be like her. And she had an amazing shot. So that was one thing I was always like, I want to have a shot like her. And then same thing with like Chris Letang has always been one of my role models as well. Again, another defenseman. So same thing like that. But for him, he was more my role model because I was always like growing up so defensive minded, right? Like I needed to stay on the blue line. I couldn't go in, all of this stuff. So watching him play, it was nice to see that like you can be so versatile as a player. So really looked up to him in that capacity.
Like when you come back here and all that, I'm sure you get, like I said, you're a role model now, right? Like I'm sure you're helping the younger girls, probably younger even boys around, saying, hey, like this is attainable. You know, I'm playing hockey, NCAA down south. It just must be awesome to kind of full circle now where you are.
Yeah, it's been amazing. This past summer, actually, my brother helped run a youth camp, a summer sports camp. And so he put together a bunch of different sports for the youth to come, try. Like we did basketball, volleyball, floor hockey, flag football, things like that. And so they had asked me to come out and speak on just my experience and let the youth know that like it's 100% possible for them to continue chasing their dreams in whatever sport that they wanted to play. And so I think it was in that moment that it kind of clicked that I was like, I have a younger audience looking up to me. And when they're asking questions and how's your experience? Like, do you miss home? All of that stuff. I was like really thinking about it. And I was like, I do, but I wouldn't change it for the world because I was given so many different opportunities that if I had stayed home, I don't think I would have gotten. So.
Did your dad play hockey?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Was he? I heard he was a weapon with the Q Park Canucks. Any truth to that?
I can neither confirm nor deny.
We're getting some text messages in here. That's why. What? Okay, and then it's Halloween. What's Halloween like on campus tonight?
Oh, actually, we don't have classes on Fridays, so it's Monday.
Nice.
Thursday, so of course, everyone's out celebrating tonight. We have a hockey game in 2 days, and so we have laying low tonight. So, but we did dress up like on the ice and stuff like that, and on campus, and everyone would wear it was mainly onesies. I think because it's the easiest thing to throw on and you get to be comfortable. So for sure, I saw a lot of those around campus today.
Right on. Well, hey, you're the captain of the team. That's awesome down there. Thanks so much for taking some time and joining us. Great interview and continued success down there.
Thank you so much for having me.
Right on. Harmony Chicoose from Pasqua First Nation playing NCAA hockey down in Johnson and Wales University. It's a nice area down there.
Definitely, yeah. I was planning. I was going to ask her about if she had the opportunity to play the National Aboriginal Hockey Championships as well.
Is she still there? That's a good question. Sorry, buddy.
Yeah, no problem. I obviously growing up in Southern Ontario, my cousin is Indigenous as well and went to Syracuse University and played as a goaltender women's hockey and had the opportunity a few times to play the National Aboriginal Hockey Championships. And I just was curious if Harmony had that opportunity as well.
Harmony, can you hear that?
Yep, I did. I had 2 opportunities, but I only got to really play in one. I was, I think, first year Bantam, the first time I played for Team Sask. And then my second time I made Team Manitoba. But then again, it fell into that COVID year, so we never actually got to play that year. But I would have played with Team Manitoba that year, so.
Yeah, that tournament was always super cool because then the gold medal game every year would be on APTN, and which was a super cool opportunity for those athletes to have the opportunity. And Harmony talked about Bridget, and she actually lives in my hometown now, as where she's sort of stepped away from the game or temporarily playing on and off in Brantford, Ontario. So
I think the Freddie has a female division now too, doesn't it? Have you played in that?
Yeah, I played in that for how long? 2 or 3 years now. I played with Moose Cree a couple times, and then this past time I played with the Alberta Thunderbirds, where we lost in the championship. So it was a really good game, though. Went into overtime and everything, and both teams were just so competitive. And again, being in that atmosphere was amazing. Having all the fans come watch, and just knowing you had so much support from people you've never even met, and they were cheering for your team and everything like that. So it was pretty surreal to be in that moment.
Yeah, that tournament's off the charts. All right, okay. Well, we'll let you go. You said you're going to lay low tonight. Even though it's Halloween. Thanks again so much. Let's catch up again. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Right on. Captain of Johnson and Wales University, Harmony Chicoose from Pasqua First Nation. Have you ever seen the Freddie? The tournament up in Saskatoon?
I have not, no.
Oh, it is a spectacle. Every single hotel room in the city, teams coming from all over. Now they get the female division. Like I said, it's I think it's the largest First Nation Indigenous hockey tournament in the world now. It all happens up in Saskatoon. Good stuff. That is for Freeze Tallman in Fort Qu'Appelle and Regina. They'll get you building whatever you need. Go and see the girls and guys at either location. Always supporting the Indigenous Sports Spotlight, Freeze Tallman. It is the all-new SportsCage. If you're watching that stream in my cheesy costume at sportscage.com. And as always, we're on the home of the Riders, 620 CKRM. That was a fantastic interview. Harmony Chicoose from Pasqua First Nation. Speaking of hockey, the deadline is tomorrow. I'll give you the exact time here. 9 p.m. Central Time. It's the Kenniston Super Draft. If you've never played in this, it is awesome. So what you do is you got these boxes. Here, if you're watching the stream, show it up there over top of my cheesy costume. And you have all the players. And then you can write in players at the bottom. Like we've written in Pietrangelo, Pietrangelo? How do you properly say it? Petrangelo.
Petrangelo?
Petrangelo from Vegas.
Former Niagara Ice Dog.
First time. I don't know the game of ice hockey very well. Golden Knights, we've basically taken everyone but Shea Theodore. So we've got 14 guys picked out of 32. We're doing 1. You can do 7 of these. Get some friends. 7 32-player drafts, $200. You got buddies. 1 buddy. Split them. Lotto Lawrence, I wish he would call in from Saskatoon. He's like almost won this thing before. He plays it. Your Splurge Club, whatever you got, get it. 7 for $200. Okay, so we got 14. We currently don't have any Boston Bruins. Probably stupid. Speaking with Harmony, who's in the Boston area, what should we take? Marchand, Pasternak?
I'd like to preface by saying I contributed to our playoff picks, and they were terrible. So, yes, I would say let's take a Boston Bruin. And
we're taking 2. We got
absolutely 16. Do not go anywhere near the Nashville Predators because they are Fugazis.
Okay, so we're up to 16. What about Toronto Maple Leafs? This isn't playoffs. They got to play the regular season. They paid their fees. They're playing the whole thing. Who do we take from the Leafs? Matthews?
Yeah, I think Austin Matthews with the captain bump is due for a year. I saw that you guys had picked Connor McDavid, and I mean, I still think playing, 3/4 of the year, he's still a top 20 point getter in the league regardless. So I think you don't want to forego him. But I think Connor McDavid.
No, he was the first guy. Jamarcus Hardrick took him. He was our first guy we took.
Oh, I know. I saw that you've selected him. Okay. He's currently hurt. I was justifying that.
I know.
I was justifying that he's still a top 20 player, even if he only plays 3/4 of the year. So he's still worthy of picking.
Gotcha. Austin Matthews. We got. What about? Are we stupid? Not we need to take a Vancouver Canuck. Like Hughes touches the puck all the time.
Is he manufacturing points while he's touching it, or is he just looking really good doing it? I'm curious to see that.
Dallas Stars.
Yeah, and the Eastern media gets to me. So I'm wondering, what kind of numbers is Kyle Connor putting up in Winnipeg right now? They're talking about him being a candidate early in the season, Hart candidate. But that's coming out of TSN, who's
we've only taken
big Winnipeg Jets fans.
We've only taken Mark Scheifele from the Winnipeg. Let's take you. You want to take Connors? I'm game.
Let's do it.
Let's take him.
Let's take Kyle Connor. Quinn Hughes has got 8 points so far this year. I mean, he's JT Miller, Brock Besser, cute.
Let's take 2 Canucks. Who do we take? Hughes and Miller.
Yep, I like it.
Okay, and we go 1 more, then we'll finish off the rest tomorrow. See, teams that we haven't touched yet. Is anyone chiming in on the... Okay, good. Because people are... Seattle Kraken, St. Louis Blues... That's Dallas. Who's Dallas's touch the puck all the time point getter?
Jason Robertson? It's probably their cash cow.
That's the last guy we're taking today. Jason Robertson. Then I'll count them up. I think we're probably going to have about, 8-ish guys to pick tomorrow. I like the write-in thing. That's the other. We haven't done enough research on who we should write in, because if they're not in these boxes, you can write them in at the bottom. But you can get in on the fun at superdraft.com. If you just want to do one, it's $40.
The other curious thing on your ballot that you have ongoing, and I know we're not picking more players here, but playing into your conversation tomorrow, is you currently have no Florida Panthers.
We can change that right now.
Well, we don't need to.
We have the power to do it right now.
What about? I haven't looked close enough. Kaprizov in the mix in Minnesota there.
Yes,
okay.
That is a good pick.
Kaprizov, yeah, he's in the mix. I hadn't looked at stats yet, to be honest with you.
I did take Panarin.
I'm living at hockeyregina.ca stats, so if you need to know any of those, I've got that figured out. But the NHL is the first time I'm looking.
Who's leading the Bantam A scoring race? $20,000 for first place in this bad boy. $90,000 total prize. Starting in January, they have the weekly prize is $1,000. If you want to do the Super 8, it's a total separate thing. $10 each for a Super 8. I'm going to fill in a Super 8 too and send it in. If the SportsCage wins, we're going to donate it to charity, And if you're in and you can go and look at the standings, you can just laugh at the Sports Cage once we do all of ours. It's the Kenniston Super Draft. The deadline is 9 p.m. tomorrow. Time for a quick break. When we come back, we will talk maybe a little Friday Night Lights, recap the Pats game last night. It's the all-new Sports Cage on the home of the Riders, 620 CKRM. Yeah, Monopoly is a great game. Oh, we're back. There, if I stretch it out here, show my dad bod, you can kind of see the costume a little bit better because we've had a few correct responses on the stream for the ball that we're giving away. Colson, put the camera on Colson again. Where are you going? What were you? You're the Vancouverite going to Stampede?
Correct.
That's actually really good. It's funny. Curtis, meh. You didn't really dress up today. You forgot it was Halloween. But you went as Diener's son. Governor or Givener. And you are a Rider fan?
Yep. I'm ready. Ready for the playoffs. Bandwagon Rider fan. We're ready. We're making a run to the Grey Cup.
5,000, just over 5,000 tickets left. About a couple hours ago, Matty Young had on his Twitter, like, I hope the walk-up is huge. Like, how can they make, here's a question. Can they make it more affordable? $35 to sit in pill country. You can take the family for $100 for those that don't speak slang. 2 adult tickets, 2 kid tickets. And then what's the other thing? They have My Brother and Me, Brad Johnner style or something. Me plus 3 package. Offering special savings, 20% if you bring 3 friends along for the action. Get cranked on $5 beer before the game. Get rowdy. It's a Saturday night. Yell at VA and the Lions.
Sounds like you've got it all figured out here. I'll be happily celebrating the marriage of Carrie Livingston and Kevin Manzuk on Saturday, where I've been assured the game will not be broadcast at their wedding. But we'll have to have a lot of cell phones out. But
yeah, there. I know that there's that wedding going on. Senior hockey's firing across the board. A lot of senior hockey smart. Raymore Rockets, one of them. They're pushing the puck drop till 8:30, which could go into 8:45. If Josh Miller's out there doing the anthem.
Yeah, the Regina Shamrocks will be traveling to Weyburn for a match during that time as well, so it's a busy Saturday.
It is. $5 pregame beers. And then all the celebrations happening in Studio 620. You're there. Everybody can watch Curtis. He'll be there on Saturday. Everything is in Studio 620, not... what's the park? Not... Confederation Park. I always want to call it Victoria Park. Confederation Park. Tossing maybe some... What do we got going on, do you think? Some cornhole?
We got a 360 cam.
Oh, there we go.
And we obviously got the pregame show going on the whole time.
Yes.
That's cool stuff to watch.
360 cam. A shirtless 360 cam with your buddies. With the big RIDERS. What? Not a good idea? Oh, there's going to be some crazy $5 beers. Crazy stuff's going to ensue down there. Quickly, Pat's game last night. Raiders roll in. Jeff Truitt joined the show. Howe back in the lineup. Captain, Regina Pats. Scores first goal. Played all right. He said his legs are going to be a little bit. PA quick strike team. Pats have some work to do. Goalies played good. It was an exciting game. And then Raiders just capitalized on their chances late.
Yeah, a couple local boys, too, in the Raider lineup.
Yeah.
Jonas Everson and Dace Derkach.
Derkach looked really good for an AP.
Yeah, just... I love when teams do that, when they're like visiting the city where one of their prospects is playing AAA and just slide them in the lineup. Just get a look at... Gives them an opportunity to get a look. Gives them that sort of pump in their own town to play against fans. I'm sure the Pats weren't unhappy to get another local body for people to buy some tickets, and both of them +1, +3 won all their draws. Mike Sillinger would be happy.
Yeah, Brock Cripps was in the lineup for the Raiders. 15 defenseman, second overall pick last year. So good, 15 years old, just crazy.
The Raiders are stacked with prospects.
It is the all-new Sports Cage, another hour in the book. We're going to go to news. When we come back, Glen Suitor will find out what his costume is. And then it's high school football, that back half. Campbell, the boldest, both coaches joining us. It's the all-new Sports Cage on the home of football in Saskatchewan, 620 CKRM. Hour 3 of the show on Halloween. If you're cruising home, jetting home to get those kids out for some trick-or-treating or to hand out candy. If you don't have kids and you were just there handing out candy, you're one of the good ones. I saw people decorating their yards today around. Some people going over and above. That's what it's all about. We dropped the ball this year, but I'm not going to shut my light off. I'm going to sit there, watch Thursday night football, hand out candy. I'm going to have to watch it. Yeah, see, I wonder if I can throw it. Just be super lazy at some point. Kids are out buzzing around. Obviously, don't drive like an absolute donkey. Make sure everybody's safe today. And if you haven't got any candy and you want to give it out, go get good stuff. Don't get the Kerr's molasses candy. Is that what was it?
Molasses Kisses.
Molasses Kisses. Don't be that guy or girl that hands out those to kids. This hour, Kellin had to jet. He had hockey practice to go to. Who schedules hockey practice on
Kellin
Halloween? Does. No, I know. It just has to happen. There's only so much ice to go around. Kelly Adams, head coach of the Campbell Tartans, is coming up. Ryan Giesbrecht, head coach of Leboldus Golden Suns, coming up. They're meeting tomorrow in the 6A City High School Football Championship at Mosaic Stadium. We're going to talk to both of them. Also, a really cool interview with Dave Thomas and Jorgen Hughes from the Saskatchewan Roughriders, award winner. An interesting award that he picked up. It's that's still to come later in hour 3. But now it is time to go. Colson is going to talk about it when we get back. It's time to talk to Glen Suitor, who Colson possibly is dressed up as.
The all-new Sports Cage with CFL and Saskatchewan Roughrider legend Glen Suitor is brought to you by Quality Tire. With 9 locations across Saskatchewan, visit qualitytire.ca.
See, he didn't go as Glen Suitor, Glen, now that you're on. But Colson, you can explain to Glen what you're going as Halloween here.
So now that you can see me, I'm dressed up as a Vancouverite going to the Calgary Stampede. Because you got to fit in. But this is way too much matching for any true actual Calgarian. So,
And then he went with I could be a Glen Suitor, I guess, but I didn't shave. And I'm like, well, Glen had that problem a few months ago. And then you'll never guess mine. We still have a contest going. So if you can get mine, Glen, but I'm kind of popping up here. I did win cheesy costume of the...
I see Pete Rose. I see a lot of that. I see...
okay, end it there, because there's still some people guessing for the football. But you're correct.
Aren't on the radio. Okay.
Yeah, it's on. It's on.
And by the way, Colson could just add a whistle to that hat. Would be outstanding. That would.
Yes.
And you know, the only reason when I do go to like Stampede that my hat is slightly different and not coordinated is because my son went to school in Nashville, so I got my cowboy hats from there.
Oh yeah, there we go. Right from the place where it all happens. What a game we're getting geared up for here. Saturday, Glen, BC Lions coming in. Are you working this one?
Yes, I will be doing the West. Yeah.
What are you, I've asked you this before, what are you intrigued to see in this one? Maybe it's early in the game, maybe it's, midway through or the full game. What are you going in curious about?
Well, VA, of course, and it's interesting that these 2 playoff games that we're going to see this weekend, all 4 teams split. So the Ottawa and Toronto split their games in the regular season. BC Saskatchewan split their season games, and they were completely different. In that first game, VA played against Saskatchewan, and Justin McInnes in that game had 243 yards receiving, his best ever. And Vernon Adams was at 450 yards. The second game, which was later in the year, a couple of weeks ago, obviously completely different story. And remember, Trevor didn't play in the first game either. So there's a lot of sort of, when you're trying to, how much can you pull from the regular season? And I'm curious to see the adjustments that Corey Mace will make playing Vernon Adams this time, because the last game they played, that was the 39-8 loss. That was Nathan Rourke. And, he had struggled. A.J. Allen got off to that interception for a touchdown right out of the gate. And the Lions were chasing points all game long. They were chasing from behind and did some uncharacteristic things. So the one that'll jump out right off the page, first of all, is Vernon Adams, his love of the deep ball, the chunk play, the big play down the field, trying to get McInnes, Keon Hatcher, Alexander Hollins going, and just, he's not afraid to sling it deep, and just go after the big play. And, I think that's the adjustment Saskatchewan makes. It's really strength against strength when you look at the Riders secondary, though, with Roland Milligan. So, that's the first matchup that I'll look. How does VA look out of the gate? How does this defense adjust from the first time they played when he went to work in Vancouver?
What do you think BC's game planning against Saskatchewan here? Obviously the ball hawks, right? The defense. The defense is scary. It's scared teams. We've seen it. We saw it, like you said, that first play, obsession for possession, right? Coach Mace talks about.
Yes.
What do you think? Do we see any interesting wrinkles from BC?
Well, the thought would be, if you're the Lions and obviously they know what the stats are too, and they're looking at a team they're playing that has taken the ball away more than any team in the league, and a plus 26. The Lions are a -6. Now, I will add that in that first Lions game against Saskatchewan, only twice in the season were the Riders minus in the give takeaway. One was in the Banjo Bowl. They were a -2 in that one. And one was against the Lions in that first game. The turnover ratio went the Lions' way, 4-2. It was a -2 for the Riders. Those were the only two games they were minus in the giveaway takeaway category all season long, and a plus 26 on the year. By far the best team. So to your question, do the Lions now say, well, we should be more conservative, quick passing game, more run game, that kind of thing? My guess would be no. I think it's pedal to the metal. You got to do what you love. You got to do what you believe in. You've got to do what has sort of got you there, kind of thing. And for the Lions and Vernon Adams in particular, that's the big play. So, I'm guessing here. I'm not in the playbook and I'm not in the meeting rooms. But if I were the Lions, I would not get conservative and scared because you're playing against a team that takes the ball away. Now, for the Riders, a lot of the same. Just keep doing it. It was funny because Corey Mace has said that he talked about turnovers in his interview when he was interviewing to get the job in the first place. And in the first day of training camp, he talked to the defense and the entire team about protecting the ball and taking it away. And about every 3 or 4 times a week ever since then, he has emphasized taking the ball away. And lo and behold, they are the number 1 team in the turnover category.
What will be a bigger factor, do you think, A.J. Ouellette or the Rider receivers?
Yeah, well, I mean, when you have a veteran quarterback and Coach Mark Mueller, who I think isn't getting enough credit throughout this whole process, because Coach Mueller working with Trevor Harris, I know if you talk to Trevor, he would tell you just he's really a superstar in the offensive coordinator category, because and Trevor's worked with some very good ones in the past. You go back to I'm trying. I'll come up with them off the top of my head, but he's worked. He's been such a veteran for so long. He's worked with a ton of offensive coordinators. Scott Milenovich is one of them. But he talks about Mueller and how, depending on what the Lions try to do defensively, and they were struggling in that second game in Saskatchewan. I mean, whether it was a man look or a zone look, Trevor was really taking them apart. So, I guess when you match it up, the Riders' run game, as you mentioned, talking about Ouellette, or whatever decision they make at the tailback spot here, and I haven't got the depth chart yet, but the Riders' run game versus a defense that's sort of middle of the pack or lower part of the pack stopping the run, I think the Riders are definitely going to try to do that. I mean, why wouldn't you? To test the Lions' defense and get into second and medium and manageable situations. But if they don't, I don't think it's a game breaker against Saskatchewan. I really don't. I think Trevor can beat man. He can beat zone. And if you don't stop the run, they'll just continue to hand it off. I mean, they're well balanced in that regard, and they've got some good options at the tailback spot. Ouellette, we saw 84 yards in that final game.
Mm-hmm. Brady Oliveira or Roland Milligan Jr. for most outstanding player.
I don't know. I don't cheer for teams, as you know, and I'm trying not to give predictions. And I don't give predictions, and I try not to be overly biased one way or another. But I also want to always tell, especially players that I talk to, that because I am pumping one up does not mean that I am kicking the other. And so I just felt like the season that Roland had, if he didn't get the nod, then what does a defensive back have to do to get the nod as an MOP? I know the flash, and I know the numbers are attractive, and the running backs and the guys who scored touchdowns and the passing yards and everything. And I don't want to take anything away. In fact, my wife said, "Hey, I like Brady Oliveira. He saves puppies in the off season in Winnipeg. So because he saves puppies, I guess I should be okay with Brady Oliveira, being the nod." But I feel for Roland, man. I thought this was the year that a DB and not a linebacker. The last time this happened, Solomon Elamimian played linebacker. You're next to the line of scrimmage and you can make 100 tackles from there. But it's hard to do that from the halfback spot. Get past 70 tackles, lead the team in special teams tackles, and lead the league in interceptions and pass knockdowns. I mean, come on. I don't know.
You should have told her that Roland Milligan Jr. Saves puppies and kittens. And then see what she said. He volunteers at the SPCA. Coach Mace, right? How deserving West Division Coach of the Year, first year. There was no surprise there for me.
Not at all for me either. And and I think, it's unfair because I get more of a one-on-one situation with him when we get to talk on a weekly basis when I'm covering the team. So I know what all the boxes he has checked as far as in-game management, personnel, handling adversity, how he deals with discipline. Just so many boxes that you kind of look through and say, well, he's a good guy, he's a player's coach, but his in-game management struggles and that. Not this guy. He's checked all the boxes, top to bottom. He's up against Jason Moss, which is an interesting one because the Riders faced more adversity this year and had to come back from it. And I think that bodes well for the voting for a coach of the year, and these two finalists. But it's one thing to go from not being a playoff team to being a playoff team, and that turnaround, that's one thing. It's another to keep a team on top. When you're the number one team in the league, that's difficult for a coach to maintain the standard because you're the number one target of every other team in the league every single week. They want to knock off the big dog on the porch. And that's what Montreal's been, and they were able to do it again this year and back up last season.
And then Logan Ferlin, most outstanding offensive lineman. Offensive line is not the sexiest of positions, right? Like they don't get talked about a lot. This year in Saskatchewan they did, because it was like a revolving door. And it's like, hey, who wants to play offensive line? Me. Okay, well, you got to go in there. He plays every position except for left guard this season. Plays in all 18 regular season games. Local guy, ties to Regina. Super, deserving there as well, Glen.
Yeah, in the past, well, first of all, let me add this perspective. If a player goes from right guard to left guard, okay, same position, just opposite side, it would be kind of like if you were right-handed and decided one day you're changing and becoming left-handed. Now think about how difficult that would be in your day-to-day life, because that seems like an easy change, but it really is not. I mean, you're taking all the footwork and all the handwork that you do on one side of the offensive line, and you're changing which strikes first, where your feet line up, how they do that, how you get into your pass pro mode, all of that. It's really difficult to switch sides, let alone switch position. And he has played every position on the O-line, all but one this year. But in his career, he's played every position. So there's versatility there. And I've talked to his teammates about him too. And here's a guy that people may not know. He sits into the quarterback meetings sometimes. Now, there's a guy who, I don't know many offensive linemen that want to know the schemes and the protections and the game plan from the quarterback's perspective. He will sit in quarterback meetings. I mean, nothing but respect for a guy who takes his craft that seriously and is doing all the homework. Love it.
What an interesting, going away from the Riders and from the game, we had Arash Madani on at 4:00. I didn't quite know the depth, but Chris Morris, new president and CEO in Edmonton, what a journey to get to where he is. Like, education degree, teacher, principal, U of A, all that, and now the top dog in Edmonton. I don't know. Do you know a lot about him? What do you know about him? And just your comments on the journey for him to get there.
Yeah, I know more of the sort of the player end and the player side, and know that another guy who did his homework as a player. I think the job of executive, the job of commissioner that they will be looking for, there's always sort of two roads you can take. And I think for a long time, a lot of the decision makers have been taking the road that is business first, accounting first, revenues, bottom lines, guys that are former CEOs of businesses that, know how to run a boardroom or a meeting. And they've gone away from guys who know the league, guys who know the game. And I say guys, I mean guys and girls. It could be either. But, it's people that they've gone away from, that know the game inside and out, and then therefore will know throughout the rest of their lives, like either teaching or whatever you did outside of football. Then they take what they've learned from the game and they apply it to their lives outside of the game. So there's that leadership, that commitment, the ultimate team sport that you have to be unselfish, all of those things that you learn. But these guys that take over the executive positions that know the game of football and also know the league, they know better than anybody what sells in the league. They know how to promote it. What makes it great? Why is it the number one most exciting sport in the world? Is because of X, Y, and Z. They know that. An accountant that comes in out of the boardroom doesn't necessarily know that. And to be honest, I like the hire. I think you can hire a businessman that can be your advisor in that role. But if you know the game and you know how to sell the game, that to me is most important.
All right. Well, we'll probably see you here on Saturday. Weather's not supposed to be that bad. Should be a great night for football. And, of course, us here in Rider Nation, we're crossing our fingers. Travel safe, Glen.
Hey,
oh,
Barney,
sorry.
real quick, before we go, can we, because I heard you guys off the top.
Okay.
And I heard you talking about that we're about 5,000 tickets away.
Yeah.
Home field advantage is huge. It is absolutely huge, especially in Saskatchewan. I just heard a podcast here in Vancouver where a guy was complaining about spending for 3 people $1,200 to see a Canucks game. $1,200 to see a Canucks game that they lost 6-0. So that's just perspective. This is a playoff game in Saskatchewan. Let's sell it out. Rider fans, let's go.
$35 Pilsner, Pill Country, $35 a kid. A youth, $22 in the lower bowl, $40 for an adult. You can take a whole family for $99, and you can guzzle beer. You can guzzle beer for $5 before the game too. Oh, crazy! We can't even do that in our beer league hockey dressing rooms. That's cheap.
Wear your cowboy hats with a whistle, even. It's fine.
Okay, see you Saturday, Glenn. Thanks.
Thanks, guys.
Press coverage of Glen Suitor for Quality Tire, 9 locations across Saskatchewan. We got about 2 minutes before the break here. Colson, Colson's costume was awesome today. It's getting dark out, right? Trick-or-treaters are out. Get those lights on and all that. Curtis, you haven't given away candy tonight?
Well, I kind of forgot to buy candy. So, lights are going to be off, and
there's a bunch in the coffee room. Take whatever's left in the coffee room and hand it out to the kid. The kids deserve. Let's go back to COVID when it was really weird and kids couldn't really go trick or treating or whatever it was. Seriously, go to the coffee room. There's a bunch of chips, Twizzlers, none of the weird Molassa candy. Molassa Kisses. You can still buy those?
Yeah. When I was looking online, I think Giant Tiger still had them. I did the math. It came out to be like a cent a candy. So that's probably why they were so popular to give out.
A cent a candy.
Yeah, you don't find those margins these days.
Molassa candy, yeah. To use Maz's, what's Maz's line? In this economy, don't be weird. Give the kids something good. Not like Mrs. Maz, like Mrs. Mays in Weyburn that Dave in hour 1 talked about. Used to give away full-sized, deep and delicious Duncan Hines cakes.
Legend.
Yeah. Well, she is a legend. She have a statue of her in Weyburn. The Duncan Hines lady. These are full Duncan Hines. It's awesome. To all those SportsCage, if you're watching the stream, only a few people have got my costume correct to win this football. SportsCage.com. If you're listening on the radio, text in Riders to 936-6262. You can win 2 tickets to the game. Half hour left of the show. It's the all-new SportsCage on the home of the Riders, 620 CKRM. All right, welcome back to the all-new SportsCage. We've been talking about it. High school football around the province. Just absolutely a beautiful weekend if you love watching high school football. You got Saturdays, all the rurals, a 6-a-side, 9-a-side. We mentioned this in Regina, the 6A City Championship. Couple of upsets. Talked about that all week too. Couple of upsets happened last week. It was Laboldus over Miller and Campbell over Riffle. I was prepared for a Miller-Riffle showdown, not going to lie. But hey, here we are. This is exciting. Joining us on the Western Pizza Guest Hotline. It's Halloween. No one wants to cook. Get yourself a Western Pizza wheel before the kids go trick-or-treating or you go trick-or-treating, whatever floats your boat. Ryan Giesbrecht, head coach of the Laboldus football team. Ryan, so was it the lunch at Spiro's Western Pizza that did the job last Friday or what?
You know what? I think it was. They're fantastic over there. They've been treating us really good for a few years now, and it seems like a perfect sponsor for our talk. Yeah, no doubt.
So, you guys, let's go back to last week, right? Number 1 seed, Miller Marauders. What went right? How did you guys pull it off?
All week we were talking about, and kind of our message to the kids all season has been just working on getting better every day, at practice. in games, and we got a lot of really good experienced grade 12s. We got a lot of young players too, so they've been learning kind of throughout the season. Each week we've progressed and got better and better, and it just kind of all came together last week. I thought the team played really well, but played as a team. It's the most important part. Special teams, defense, offense. We seem to get an edge on every facet of the game, and we had a couple of balls bounce the right way, but we took advantage when we needed to, and scored on opportunities where we were able to. Yeah.
Let's give a shout out to some of those seniors and guys that are making this thing tick here going into the city final. I know the kids always love their names and the shout outs. Like who's doing the job right now for you?
Well, we have lots. Give a shout out first of all. It's not a secret. We're kind of a run game first to open up the pass game and play action game. The O-line, Noah Baker, Reese O'Brien, Bryton Snyder. Those guys have done wonders on the O-line, which brings me to my next shout out. Caleb Masambamba, who's been a running back all year. He's been running like an absolute madman. He's amassed a ton of yards in the league, lots of touchdowns, and couldn't do it without him. He's also a grade 12. So in total yards, he led the league this year with receiving and rushing. And as receivers, Joe Dargis, he's been great for us. He was injured kind of for the first little part of the season. He plays receiver, and he's caught a lot of balls, but honestly, the best part about him, he's just a tenacious blocker, right? So being a run-first offense, having a guy on the outside that like that can be physical and block guys is huge for us. And then on the backside on defense, it's been Elijah Chuma, Archie Inakwe, our boundary half and corner, have that side locked down. They've been playing great as of late. It's nice having those senior guys on the defense, leaders. Just helps with a lot of communication. So I think the biggest part too is that we have both of those. We have the young guys who are gaining the experience, and they're just getting better each day. But they also have the leadership of the seniors to help them, communicate with them, whether it's formation adjustments or it's play calls and checks and stuff at the line, which really helps. Another big one has been Nick Aruda. He's our grade 12. He plays end for us, but he also is our kicker, and he's been dynamite all year long. He's in kickoff, he's gaining yards for pushing them back to the goal line. His punts have been fantastic, whether it's pinning them inside the 10 or the 20, or executing a great punt if we're punting field or boundary or something like that. So lots of great leaders on the team, and we definitely couldn't do it without them.
That's awesome. Yeah, no, good to hear. So you played Campbell. I think it was like late here, like October 11th. Tight game, 33-26. What kind of team are you up against here with Campbell?
Well, first of all, very well coached team. They've got a great coaching staff over there. They do a great job with those kids. They've got some really good athletes on the team. The quarterback's quite an electric player, whether he's passing the ball or he's scrambling and running. Lucas Durant, I'm the offense coordinator, so a couple kids I have to watch for and worry about is Lucas Durant on the D line. Sometimes they line him up to play linebacker. Just kind of a strong, fast, disciplined kid who, he makes plays. And their safety, Lucas Edmonds, he's also, quite good, electric player, makes plays back there in the secondary. So, they're a very well put together team, special teams, offense, defense, got a lot of great kids on that team. So I think it's going to be a great game. I think we got two teams here who, have been getting better all year long, and they got one last chance to show what they've got.
You guys as coaches, how many hours you guys putting in a day here for this week leading up, right? Because you don't want to leave anything to chance, I'm sure.
Yeah, no, it's a grind for sure. It's you're spending lots of time with the kids, but also lots of time in the background. game planning, watching film, critiquing every little thing, making sure that you're organized. For me as offensive coordinator, making sure my play sheet is organized and everything's where I need it to be, making sure that we have all our adjustments in check, make sure the kids know it. I think that's the biggest thing I've learned as a coach is, just because you know it doesn't mean your kids know it. And spending the time with the kids, whether it's in meetings at lunch or, film in the mornings and then in practice, making sure the kids know everything that you know.
Yeah. Lastly, I remember this, right? It's now 25 years since I remember high school football. I remember that last speech that our coach gave us. For you guys, it's a city championship. What will that speech be like for you, especially to those grade 12s in this team, with a chance to capture a championship, which is an absolute special moment they'll remember forever, regardless win or lose?
Yeah, I think you kind of hit the nail on the head there. It's a once in a lifetime opportunity. The speech and what you say to the kids once you want to make the game seem obviously very important, but you also want to level with the fact that it's a football game, and it doesn't really change from another game that you play. You want your players to go out there, execute, do their jobs, right? Control the energy, momentum of the game, and if they do those things, the championship will come to them.
Yeah. Right.
So do what's within their control. Try not to think too much about, the importance of the game, and go out and just play football. And, city championships, any kind of championships like the provincial championship. I think players who are able to, execute the game plan and do their jobs, nothing more, nothing less. I think they know that that's how they win.
Right on. Are you gonna eat the exact same thing tomorrow at Western Pizza?
We eat the exact same thing every time. The food over there is it's fantastic.
Right on, Ryan. This is pretty cool, right? I'm glad we had a chance to catch up and do this. Have a blast tomorrow, and let's see how it all plays out.
Appreciate it. Thanks for the chat.
Right on. That's head coach of the Leopoldus Golden Suns, Ryan Giesbrecht, joining us on the all-new SportsCage. That game tomorrow, 6 p.m. at Mosaic Stadium. Just such an exciting time. If you've ever been around high school football, not a lot of us have had the chance to play in a city final, but it's awesome. This is the all-new SportsCage. We are the home of football in Saskatchewan on 620 CKRM. Back out on the Western Pizza guest hotline here in the all-new SportsCage. Barney, Shynkaruk, Colson, and Curtis. Kellin had to leave. High school football, we've been all over it all season long. Culminates tomorrow. You just heard us talk to the head coach of Leopoldus. Now we got the head coach of Campbell. They're going out into the city championship tomorrow at Mosaic Stadium, 6 p.m. kickoff. Kelly Adams joining us. Wow, you guys are in the city championship. Little upset action, maybe a slight upset as far as ranking goes last week. What went right in that game, Kelly?
I think for us, we've just been improving like the whole year, which is good. Our quarterback is a dynamic athlete, Adrian Rayome. We get a lot of things out of him. I don't always know what it's going to be. The refs always bug me to see if I could get him to stop running around, but I don't know where he's going. But he makes a lot of things happen out there, so we're lucky to have him.
It's funny because I'm a North Ender and some neighbors that play on Riffle, and that's exactly what they said. They're like, Campbell's quarterback, right? Like, he's so shifty, just an athlete back there getting it done. But you must have some other, grade 12s, graduating kids that you want to give shout outs to here that are just balling out at the right time. And tomorrow, could be for some of their last football game.
Yeah, for sure. We got a D lineman named Lucas Durant, number 99. He's about 6'1", 250 pounds. So we decided, hey, this guy should play fullback also. Which he loves. He thinks he can do everything, routes and carry the ball. He does a really, really good job for us. And then we got a guy, number 5, Lucas Edmonds, plays safety. And he cleans up a lot of things on the back end that, sometimes things are there, but he makes us look really good with the ground that he can cover.
You guys nipped Leopoldus in the regular season, not that long ago. I guess now you have Leopoldus, right? People were thinking there's going to be other teams there, but it's the Golden Suns. What are they all about as a team? What are you guys as coaches keying on with them?
They're a really young team, so I think if there's any surprise that they've made it this far, that might be the one, just because they're so young. Like in the future, next year or two, they're going to be really, really tough. But they got some strong players like Caleb Mossambombo, the running back, he's a load. He's hard to bring down, carries the ball for him really well. And then a couple guys on defense like Jacob Goldstone, who I had the opportunity to coach in RMF a few years. He's a dynamite player, only grade 10. And then they got a big D lineman, Colin Shaw, who's also, only grade 11 again. And he's really, really big, strong, athletic guy. So we got to find some ways to account for them. But we got some ideas in mind.
I asked Coach Ryan as well about this because I go back and I remember it. What's that speech like tomorrow, right? Special game, city championship. A lot of kids don't get a chance to play in it. A lot of them will never be in a game that big again. A guy that's been around, coached a lot of football. What's that speech like tomorrow for you?
It's kind of funny. I've been at Campbell a long time, right? So the Campbell-Leopoldus rivalry, a little bit of hatred, not personal, because I like the individuals, but just that hatred of the school. But the kids don't get on board with that as much anymore. They're all, because of RMF and spring and stuff, they're all friends, right? So just got to focus on, it's just a very unique opportunity for them. And it's not something that comes around very often. And, it's not good enough just to get there, but we want to win it because this is going to stick with them forever, right? And they're going to remember this game the rest of their lives. So it's got to, cliche, give it everything they got. And from there, you can always be proud of where it ends up.
Again, I asked this to Ryan too. What kind of hours have you guys as coaches been putting in this week? I'm sure there's practice, but there's a lot of after hours, before hours, watching tape, getting things buttoned up.
Yeah, absolutely. This would be a better question to ask my wife probably, but yeah, football, it's a different one. It's just so intense, right? It's relatively short. It's really only a couple months, but it's got to be every day for, several hours a day for sure to have an idea, to know what you're doing and make sure your kids are in the best possible position they can be to be successful.
Right on. Special day tomorrow. You will be watching and waiting how this plays out. Thanks so much for taking some time, Kelly. I know you're busy. We appreciate covering it and giving it some love.
Thank you very much. I appreciate the coverage too. I think high school sport doesn't get enough attention. It's a great entertainment, great opportunities for kids, and I appreciate you giving me the time as well. Thank you.
Right on. Thanks so much. Head coach of Campbell. It's going to be a good one. I got to try and figure out a way to make it down Mosaic Stadium tomorrow night, 6 p.m. Campbell and Leopoldus. This is the all-new Sports Cage. We are the home of football in Saskatchewan on 620 CKRM. All right, just a few more minutes of the show left here. Jordan Hughes, we talked about a special award this year for the Saskatchewan Rough Rider. That's how we're going to end the show. Dave Thomas has a chance to catch up with him. We're back tomorrow. Maz will be with me here. Have fun trick-or-treating. We have Craig Reynolds from the Riders joining us tomorrow. Luke Mullender, a whole bunch more. But yeah, this is pretty cool. Jordan Hughes, special award. Hit a chance to catch up with our Dave Thomas.
I want to congratulate you on the award nomination. What does that mean to you?
Thanks, man. Appreciate that. Yeah, no, I'm definitely flattered. It's been doing a lot of community work every year, but the way I look at it is it's not going to change how much I do that kind of thing. It's definitely nice to receive the recognition, but I enjoy doing that stuff, and with or without it, it doesn't change how I approach the off season and doing as much as I can.
You say community work, but it isn't work, is it?
No, it's I have a lot of fun doing it. It comes pretty easy to me. I love going all around the province, and being from here, it makes it easy to kind of connect the dots with people, and I enjoy it.
A lot of work goes into mental health. It seems since the pandemic has come and gone, especially with young people. Mm-hmm. You've been through some training. What do you try to help and maybe impart on young people that may be going through mental health struggles or promoting mental health awareness?
Yeah, for sure. I've been here so long. When we first started, when I was getting into it, we actually had a program or a campaign with the Red Cross that we did, and that has transformed into what we do at the foundation. But a lot of it's, built off this, stuff, and the guys like Dan Clark who were around in the early days who, kind of engineered everything. We've just been building on it. But now it's centered more around, that mental health and all that kind of stuff. And there's a lot of things that we stress. We have a slideshow with a lot of info, and it's about an hour-long presentation, and then we give tie-in personal stories and stuff like that. But, my main message is, mainly how to be resilient, things you can do to be resilient, and, putting the right things in your body goes a long way too. So, those are a couple of big things, and then of course there's a bunch of others. But for me, it's a lot of that comes down to just building resilience, and it's something that we can all do.
Reading is also a focal point of some of your messaging. Tell me about the reading campaign that goes into schools.
Yeah, so we do the reading week as well. So that's good. So we read to the kindergartens to grade 3s, and it's just encouraging, reading and learning, and the positive stuff that obviously comes with that. So that's kind of the main message there. It's pretty short. They're both 30-minute kind of presentations. We read some books, we talk, they ask questions, and we really emphasize how important it is to read.
There's no doubting the impact that you can have on these young people when you meet them. Do they have an impact on you?
Yeah, I always say that. Like I leave these places feeling always better than when I got there or showed up. It definitely goes both ways, and I'm so fortunate and lucky to be able to have the opportunity to do these, because it does a lot for me too.
So tell me about some of these places that you've been. I'd assume that there's a number of places around the province that you've got to experience for the first time because of this opportunity.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we've been to a lot of fly-in communities only up north. I mean, Black Lake, Fond du Lac. We even tried getting into Uranium City one time. The fog was really bad, so we couldn't make it that day. Earlier in my career, we went all the way to Nunavut, spent 8 days up there, and same thing. It was all centered around, mental health and bullying and that kind of stuff. So had a blast up in Nunavut, and all these places we go to, and then, as far south as we can go to. So we cover the whole province, and it's a pretty awesome thing we got going.
Lastly, is this a responsibility that you have as a professional athlete and someone that kids look up to in our province?
Yeah, I definitely feel like the game has given me so much, and I want to use my platform while I'm playing, because they look up to you, and they really listen, and there's nothing better that when you're delivering a good message and you can tell that it's impacting, even if it's just one kid, and you can just see it in their eyes, and you can just see the hamster turn, and it's like, oh, okay. And that makes the whole, whether you drove 5-6 hours, you got on a flight, whatever, it makes it all worth it. So it's awesome.
Well, congratulations on a well-deserved recognition, and thanks for doing that for kids in our province.
Yeah, of course. Anytime. Thank you, Dave.